Hello, hello out there. Happy Thursday. I hope you are doing well. I am ready for Friday. No. I'm ready for Saturday. I'm ready for Saturday to get here. Hey, friends. Um, Listen, I use that word lightly. I know y'all are probably like, Kyla, we're not friends. We don't know you. That's okay too. Um, Hello, lovelies. My name is Kyla Givehand. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am doing a 30-day vlogging series here in the month of April 2024, where I am going live every day on this YouTube channel and talking about all the things that I love, things I'm curious about, things I teach and love to talk about. Just talking about all the things that make me who I am. I have lived a very wide life and I've done a lot of things, seen a lot of things, learned a lot of things, forgotten a lot of things. And here I am, uh, attempting to share much of it with you all. Those of you that are willing to, be here, be present, be in community with me. So, thank you for joining. If you're watching live, hello. Love to hear you or see you show up in the chat. If you are watching it on the replay, hi. Join me live at some point before the month is out. Be nice to have you here live. Today, so what I've been doing with this vlogging series is every day I talk about something or things that I love and curious about learning, all the things. But I'm using the alphabet to kind of keep me wrangled in. I'm calling this the ABCs of me. And each day is associated with a letter of the alphabet. We are on day 25. So this is letter Y. Letter Y. And it is we're in the home stretch. Tomorrow will be letter Z day. Come on, we're almost there. And the days following that, I will just be talking about, I'll be going back, sort of circling back to things that I didn't get. I've been keeping little slips of paper that tell me the things I said I was going to talk about versus the things I actually got to talk about. Because once you get me talking about certain things, I can forget that there's anything else to talk about. So it is quite possible that, not quite possible, it is highly probable and absolutely certain that there are days I said I was going to talk about things that I didn't get to talk about. So we'll circle back on those last 4 days of the month, if my math is mathing, where I'll talk about other things. So I'll bring back some of the things, show some of the projects I made along the way and things I did. So yeah, join me for all of the shenanigans. Today is letter day Y. And today, some of the things I'm going to talk about. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome. Glad you're here. You're funny. Barely made it. Sliding in right under the radar. I love it, though. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Always helps to see folks in the chat and have folks to actually interact with in real time. So thank you for being one of those people who's shown up many, many times throughout this month. Thank you. All right, so today we might be able to wrangle Damon in here to talk a little bit about yoga. I'll share a little bit of my yoga journey, but Damon is the official yogi in our house, and so, but we have a whole yoga a whole yoga journey that I can share, and I'm happy to do that today. I'm going to talk a little bit about yarn, and then just because I wanted to sneak in some fountain pen talk today, we're going to talk about a pen company called Yafa. And Yafa is, they're kind of like a manufacturer that manufactures pens for several different brands. So I'm being a little like sort of umbrella. I'm going to get to kind of talk about Yafa, but that'll give me the opportunity to talk about some specific pen brands that I love under that Yafa umbrella. So we'll talk about Yafa. I think, oh yeah, doing yearly reviews. And I didn't put this in the title, but year ahead. And I'm going to put dot, 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 because there's a couple of things I do for year ahead stuff. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Oh, and then I did bring a few more things to talk about with Young Living. And if there's any other yoga, not yoga, letter Y things that you all can think of, like art supply type thingies, things in the art world, please, 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 please bring them up for me, because I would love to know what they are, because I've looked around this studio and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what else I can talk about. But I imagine some of you out there do know some other things I can talk about that fall under the letter Y for art supply things and art techniques and artsy stuff. So if you can think of some stuff, hi Angelisa, welcome back. If you can think of some things under Y, y'all just drop them in the chat for me, those of you that are here. Because, you know, oh, sorry, one I left out, the obvious. YouTube. YouTube. Stephanie says, let me search my room. Thank you, Stephanie. Because listen, I'm being honest when I tell you, I have looked around this room and I'm like, does anything start with a Y besides yarn in here? There has to be something else. I was thinking about the color yellow, but I was like, I don't really have there's not much I can say about the color yellow. So, nah, gonna nix that. So yeah, just if you find things, if something pops into your mind as I'm talking, please absolutely share it. All right, the other thing, so we've got our little list here. The other thing that I've been doing every day is talking about, I'm going to try to leave that in the view so I can see it when I look up in the screen. The other thing we've been doing every day is pulling a card from an oracle or a tarot deck. So let me scan the room. Oh, you know, this one's close by. I had it out for something else yesterday. I did a reading for one of my writing clients, and I used the Literary Witches Oracle deck. And so why don't we just use that since it's already out and on my table? This is a really neat little deck. It's it's illustrated by Katie Horan and written by Tasha, maybe Tasha. I'm not sure how she actually pronounces that. Tasia. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name because I'm going to mess it up, and I feel bad because I know when people butcher my name, I'm kind of like, I'm cringing. So here, these are the two who created this deck. It's a 70 card deck, and it has a guidebook. It's called Literary Witches Oracle. And it says, unearth the wisdom of the witchiest women in literary history and let their brilliance illuminate your path. Drawn from the book Literary Witches, a celebration of magical women writers, the cards in this oracle deck bear portraits of powerful female authors and mystical spell ingredients, both full of symbolism meant to nourish the witch that lives within you. So, it's quite a large deck, and what I mean by that, it's larger than the standard sort of tarot size cards. It's wide. We'll just look at some of the folks before we shuffle and pull. Shirley Jackson, Angela Carter. Now each card has a little word underneath. So Shirley Jackson, family. Angela Carter, identity. Mary Shelley, y'all know Mary Shelley, Frankenstein. Hers is loss. Yumiko Kuriyashi, Transformation. Sappho, the poet, Love. Jamaica Kincaid. If you have not read a Jamaica Kincaid book, do yourself a great favor and do that. History is her word. Janet Frame, Belonging. Anna Akhmatova, Endurance. Emily Dickinson, The Soul. Alejandra Pizarnik, Solitude. Octavia Butler, The Future. Listen, one of her best books that I love, Kindred, is on Hulu as a little show. I haven't watched it, so I can't speak on it. But if you're like, reading, but she's a future, like she does a lot with time travel, and she's one of the first, if not the first, female African American female writer to sort of bridge that world of history, futurism, time travel, sci-fi, good stuff there. Sylvia Plath, Agatha Christie, All the Mysteries, Emily Bronte, Virginia Woolf. Oh my gosh, I didn't know Leslie Marmon Silko. She's not come up in any of my readings when I shuffle. So I didn't even know she was in here. I love her. I have a couple of her books. Joy Harjo. Joy Harjo. She is one of my favorite poets on the planet. Love her. So there's a lot of good folks in here. There's Audre Lorde. Southern writer right here, Zora Neale Hurston. Some really beautiful female writers. Sandra Cisneros, Flannery O'Connor. I think I quoted her on one of the days here. How do I know what I think until I see what I write? She is one of my favorite Southern women writers. In fact, she is the writer who made me fall in love with short stories and writing in high school, which is how I ended up just like voraciously getting into like literature and writing. And the teacher that I mentioned to you earlier, who was the influence for my fountain pen love, my love of fountain pens, Miss Inquest, she taught me Flannery O'Connor. Like she just kept feeding me Flannery O'Connor stuff and Southern women writers and Zora Neale Hurston. Actually, she's the person that introduced me to Zora Neale Hurston, Hurston's work. And another writer. Let's see if she's in here. There's another writer. Her name is escaping me right now. She's not in here. Why can't I think of her name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, so I guess I can go through the rest of these. Gertrude Stein. So anyway, I was saying Flannery O'Connor is one of my favorite Southern women writers. All right, Gertrude Stein. Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Love her yellow wallpaper story. I used to teach that in my freshman English comp class when I taught at the university level. Fun one to teach. Toni Morrison, Anne Carson, Mirabai. Interesting that Mirabai made it in here, but I don't see Maya Angelou anywhere. Kind of feeling some kind of way about Maya not being in here. Let me just make sure I didn't miss her, because I'm like, how they not have Maya Angelou or Nikki Giovanni in here? I mean, I'm happy that Zora and Audra made it in here, and Joe Harjo and Leslie. Yeah, I know. I'm being... And Octavia. I'm actually pretty excited that Octavia Butler is in here. All right, so this deck is comprised of two decks, really. There is who they call the Literary Witches. Angelisa says, I've seen the Kindred. It's worth watching. Haven't read the book. Okay, all right. I'm going to check it out when I have some space in my life to be in front of the TV. 70 says, the only white things I have in here are some UFO paper and a ton of yarn upstairs. While searching, I found my unicorn spit. I love that, since unicorns came up, like twice since we've been here for this. And also, Stephanie, if you feel up to it, type me a little type me a little note in the chat here. How do you like unicorn spit? Every time I pass it in the store, I look at it, I do a double take, and then I go, nah, I'm not gonna get that. So tell me how you like unicorn spit. Okay, so the second half of the deck is made up of symbols and items that these folks might have used, talked about, or be known for, or that they think, you know, are kind of like the literary witch symbols and items. So book, boar, tree, toad, bees, teacup, yeah, apple, knife, milk, lion, house, lantern, spider, hedgehog. That one has not come up before. Snail, skull, glove, rabbit, ghost, praying mantis, pond, eye, peacock. We just did some peacock blue the other day on something. Oh, one of the colors from the noose, elixir. How do I feel about that noose card? Elixir, mushroom, eel. Ugh. I don't like snakes and eels and things. Like, as soon as I think of one or see one, I look down on my floor, I'm like, oh my God. Doll, creature's paw, wolf, wings, wildflowers. I know I'm going fast. Chicken, cauldron, white dress, wall, braid, moon, cat, and volcano. So when I use this deck, I keep them separate. Hence why they were separate in the bag or in the box. I keep them separate. I shuffle them separate. I read with them separately. I think that, and also, can we just say that this deck does not shuffle well? Not the way I like to shuffle. It's just a weird, but I do like the texture. They're like linen. The cards are like linen, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. All right, so let's pull two of the writers. And we'll just pull for like, what do we need to infuse into our creativity the rest of the week? Or let's say the weekend. What do we need to infuse into our creativity this weekend? What do we need to infuse into our creativity this weekend? 1 and 2. And then I like to pair each of these with a card from the symbolic deck. One and 2. All right, so our first Yumiko, and it might be pronounced Yumiko Kurashi. Transformation. And the item or symbol, wall. We're going to come back to that. And for our second one, Ann Carson, the intellect. And we got cat. All right, so I'll show you kind of how I read these when I read them. So hang on, let me take a little sip of water. I definitely haven't had enough water today yet. Okay, so I first look at what it's telling me. So transformation and the intellect. I start with those words on these cards. If I don't know anything about the authors, like I don't know anything about these women. Ann Carson, I think I do, but my mind is kind of drawing a little bit of a blank on why I know her and what I know her for. But I'm going to grab the book in a second here and see what they share. But I go, okay, the question is, what are we infusing into our creativity this weekend? Transformation. So taking something and transforming it into something else. That feels good and right. We do that a lot in our art anyway. And then the intellect, bringing in our intellect. So for me, whenever I think intellectual pursuits or intellect, I think about air element. I think about the swords in tarot. I think about all the air signs in astrology and a natal chart. So anything around that, I absolutely when I think intellect, I also think if I'm infusing intellect into my art, that means that I'm actually taking time to think about what I'm doing. It also means I'm taking time to bring in maybe research or other parts of things I know, other things that I have learned into whatever I'm transforming. So the way I can transform something in my creativity this weekend is by bringing in intellect, bringing in knowledge, bringing my mind into it, and not necessarily just doing the things that we kind of do to numb out with our art, or the kinds of things that we're like, yes, this is just super meditative. It helps shut my mind off. I think the transformation that's being called for this weekend is actually to bring the mind into it. And so that can be one of the ways that we transform it. Then I look sort of at the imagery that I see here, and I'm looking at an oyster shell. It looks like with a little pearl in it, and a broken egg that has something coming out of it, a half-eaten apple, and then sort of a face that almost looks, I'm going to say ghostly in a way. So I think about, something coming out of an egg, right? It transforms itself from that egg to whatever it births into. So to me, this is like you could think of this as maybe the cosmic egg, or something of that nature. But think about what it takes for a pearl to form. It's just a lot of grit, right? That that gets that pearl into a pearl. So those are kind of some of the things coming up for me, is like, what can you crack open this weekend that can help with some transformation in your creativity? Where do you need to bring in some grit? I would even go, if I want to get real granular, I would go bring sandpaper into it. Like, what can you do with some sandpaper this weekend? Right? Like, I think egg, I think tempera paint. Right. So I get literal. I go from the sort of zoomed out all the way to the zoomed in, really granular there. And then with this one, what I'm seeing is it almost looks like she's got something in her hand that's burning and kind of making smoke. So of course I go, um, I'm thinking sage, like clear your space, clear your mind, right? So that your mind can be fully clear. And I don't know, y'all, but this looks like a bloody eye dripping right here. I probably need to put my glasses on and look a little closer, but that's what it looks like to me. Um, but I'm also thinking, with that, it's like it becomes a third eye that she has, two eyes here and an eye here. So it's making me think about that piece too, connecting in with divine in order to get some of that divine intellect going. And then lastly, I'm seeing these trees, which make me think root, make me think of something being nature, natural, rooted. So something that you feel rooted in intellectually to help with this transformation. Then when we bring in the two symbols that I pulled, we've got this wall. And so in at that point, I start thinking about what I need to do to help that transformation is to kind of wall myself in this weekend, just like cocoon in my studio and do things that way, to help with the transformation. Not necessarily building a wall around myself, but definitely like bringing myself in and kind of, protecting myself this weekend around what I want to do. I don't know. That one is a little nebulous for me, but that's kind of what my first instincts are saying. And then with cat, I'm thinking, think about cats. Like, first of all, cats are super smart. They just they're able to listen. Don't start sending me cat videos, but I have to tell y'all this. I have seen some of the funniest cat videos on Instagram, and I'm just like, every now and then I'll see one and I send it to Damon. I'm like, is this real, or is this like animated witchery? Like, is this serious? Is this cat really doing this? Like cats who are like, and dogs, but a lot of cats who are like, um, taking care of babies, like rubbing them. Like there's one where this baby keeps trying to get close to the edge of a balcony and the cat keeps swatting back, like swatting the cat kid back so it can't do it. And I'm like, how does this cat know to do this? um, so yeah, I love the idea of cats sort of connected back to this intellect piece. So let's go to the book and see what they say about first of all, let's get glasses because this book, this writing in this book is microscopic. Microscopic. Okay, we've got, let's go for, oh, could they be in alphabetical order maybe? They are not. All right, Yumiko. Some other words they give for hers: mass, becoming, and play. It says Yumiko Kurahashi, a badass of experimental fiction from Kochi Prefecture, is almost entirely unknown among English speakers. Influenced by Kafka and French literature, Kurashi's bizarre stories feature ghosts, flying heads, witch masks, incest, and bestiality. Her work will completely freak you out and provoke you with its fairy tale logic and philosophical underbelly. They don't name any of her works though, so I don't know, unless that is her work. Kochi Prefecture. So I like that they map the word play with transformation. So that might be a really beautiful thing to do. Bring in some play this weekend. All right, then we have Ann Carson. I don't know why these are not in alphabetical order. This is, maybe they're in order of the year they were born. Nope, not that either. Okay, I don't know. Not sure of the order here. Ann Carson, some of the additional words they give us: intellectual growth, delights of the mind, plagues of the mind. So what's plaguing you? Bring some of that into it, and see if you can't sort it out in your creativity through doing something that transforms it. So it says Ann Carson, a prolific writer of poems. That's where I know her from, poets. Essays and various literary hybrids, works with themes of lost family members, love and lust, religion, and the intellectual tradition. The combination of this MacArthur Fellowship's recipient austerity, startling insights, and relentless questioning is as awe-inspiring and explosive as the volcanoes she has been known to paint. Oh, she's also a painter, huh? Carson is also a scholar of ancient Greek and Latin texts and a champion of fellow witches, having translated Sappho and written about Emily Bronte and Virginia Woolf. All right, and then let's see what they're giving us with the, so they say the wall, the words they give for wall, and I feel like these words should have just been on the cards, but anyway. Protection, obstacles, and boundaries. So, okay, let's go back to that. So set some boundaries this weekend. Set some boundaries this weekend. If this is for our weekend reading, set some boundaries. If you're going to play and do some transformational things with your creativity this weekend, and you're going to bring in that intellect, you need some boundaries. All right, so that's the boundaries card. Cat is the other one. The untamed, self-ownership, and watching. So I would think about that is like, let your mind untame it. Like, let your mind go, be liberated, be free to think about the things that you want to think about, and let yourself sort of just own your process. That self-ownership piece. Own your process. Watch yourself, pay attention to what you're doing, and also let the mind be untamed. Like, think about cats. They're kind of like on their own, kind of self-sufficient in a way. If they're not too domesticated, right? They don't need us. They don't really need us. I think they tolerate us. but they don't need us. All right, friends. So that's our reading for the weekend. Sorry if you all are hearing the blender. Can you hear the blender going? Damon is making me a smoothie, making us a smoothie. Hi, Suzanne. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so that's the Literary Witches Oracle. A really cool little deck. 70 cards. All right, that's our reading. Uh-oh, I did not mean to put the cards away. Hold on. Need to grab those back out so I can make copies of them for my book, for my little journal that I'm tracking all my cards. I was thinking about it yesterday that I'm going to go back to all the cards that I pulled this month and kind of look at the overall theme of the month where I saw some repetition and things. So that'll be fun. All right. So that was a pretty extensive reading there. We're 30 minutes in and I haven't talked about a single Y thing yet. Take a few sips of water here. Let me get a couple of the quick things out of the way. So yesterday I talked about a giveaway and I realized I have a bunch of things I want to give away in terms of the watercolor stuff that I pulled out, because this little aloha thing, listen, I was supposed to give this away so long ago, y'all. Let's see what colors these are. I don't even know. Well, they're shimmers. I'm not going to open them because the person who wins them should get to open them, but there's like a rose gold color. I don't know if she has them labeled with any names. Nope. There's like a rose gold color, a gold color, a gold color, and a blue shimmer. So I think we'll do a little giveaway of that. Do a little giveaway. And then I found this. Remember I said I don't know where this one is from, but I like the little container. I think I may. I don't know if I want to give away my little container because I really like it. I might have to give the person a different a different container. So if you win this, don't be offended if it comes in a different container, because I like this container. But I remember that I don't like these very much because they are remember I said one of the deal breakers for me is if it's kind of chalky when it dries, and these are kind of chalky when they dry. They're beautiful, really subtle colors, but they are a little chalky for me when they dry. So when I do the little giveaway, I think the person needs to know that. And these are by Lizzie Busy Handmade. So we'll see. But I'm probably, I know that I'm not going to use those, so it's no need in me just hoarding them and keeping them, right? I need to send them out into the world to somebody who will use them and love them and do something with them. The other thing that's pretty quick that I want to talk about. So I talked a little bit about essential oils the other day, and I mentioned Young Living. I am a Young Living distributor, and I know people have their feelings about multi-level marketing, blah, blah, blah. I don't really promote it in that way. I will support and help people who come in under my link. There's several people who have, and I will, absolutely do that. But it's not something that I'm currently like actively like, come on, do it. I just want people to use it if it feels good and right for them. But I thought I would just share a couple other things that I didn't share. Because yes, they have tons of beautiful essential oils, many of which I own and keep owning. And a couple of my favorites I didn't get to share that I wanted to share. Lemongrass. Do yourself a favor and get you some lemongrass in your life. It has this beautiful uplifting, it sort of puts me in the frame of like citrus because of the lemongrass, but also earthy. It's like a light earthy, I can't describe it, but this bottle, I haven't opened this one yet, but lemongrass is one of my favorites by them. I think I mentioned the citronella. hello, just diffuse. If you want it, this is a citronella you can actually diffuse in your house. However, it is really, not however, but also really great for just putting a little couple drops on your, like if you're gonna go listen, I live in Pensacola, Florida, mosquito land. Okay. It's just mosquitoes all the time in the summer. Can't hardly stand it. Every summer I'm like, why do I live here? This is ridiculous. But the citronella actually helps. A little dab behind my ear, a little couple dabs on my wrist, and they stay the heck away from me. What else did I want to show? Why do I have two of these in here? This probably, interesting. I should probably do a giveaway of that, because I probably will never use both of those. That one's empty. Sorry, I'm just going through some of these to see what else I wanted to share. So the oils, yes, to the oils, lots of yummy. Oh, sorry, I'm just noticing some that I haven't had. This one is a special blend. So they have their single oils where it's just one thing. For instance, lemongrass is just one thing. Lemon is just one oil in there, right? German chamomile, like they have ones that are just a single oil. Then they have blends that they have made. This is one of their blends. It's called Clarity. Holy smokes, I have like 4 bottles of this because I don't want to run out of it. It's awesome, amazing, beautiful. Thanks, babe. I'm looking for another. There's another. So yeah, this Thrive is also a good one. And remember I said the white labels are the Vitality line, which means you can ingest them. So I really love, they have some really great blends. That's Time, but that is not the one. I thought that said Thrive. Sorry, y'all. My eyes are crazy pants. I'm looking for a different one. Where are you? I thought it was in here, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, Digest. I think I showed Digest as well. Really good. A drop in your belly button can settle your stomach. Like, it's that great. So those are some of the oils. But also what I did not show with Young Living, they also, I think I showed some of their Thieves products, but these are some Thieves wipes. I love these things. They're really great. I don't think this pack is open yet. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to keep it sealed. But I love these for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons. Really great for like cleaning up in my studio. And also, this thing is like ridiculous in terms of germ fighting. Like, it's just anything thieves, people. Okay, trust me on it. But what I also love about these is once I'm done with this container, with the ones in this container, now I've got this little container for, you guessed it, something in this art studio. So that. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to show is they have these beautiful foaming hand soaps. This one is called Winter's Night, but I don't know that this one is still in rotation. But if you can get your hands on the lemon one, thank me later. The lavender one, thank me later. And there's one other one that I really love. I think it's called Christmas Spirit. Every holiday season they put out their Christmas Spirit line. So it's like Christmas Spirit oil, Christmas Spirit this. And I think there's one other thing they have in that Christmas Spirit scent. But just like somebody is baking cookies with a fire rolling and some hot chocolate. Like, it smells like nostalgia. It's just beautiful. And just to be clear, I was not a person I grew up in Florida, in Pensacola, Florida. We did not have a fireplace going during Christmas. Okay. So I'm not trying to say that that I know exactly but it's what it makes me feel when I smell it. So their foaming hand soaps are really awesome as well. And I love that there are a lot of people who've done some videos and things of how you can, once this is empty, what you can put in it to keep it going. Like you won't keep that same scent for long, but you can add a couple of drops of a different oil that you like. I think they have an oil called Winter's Night. I'm looking on my shelf because I think I might have it. So anyway, there's a lot. I love Young Living for a lot of reasons. I talked about them. What I didn't say, I think, is just, I didn't talk at all about the founder. Um, Gary Young, what was the founder, but his wife, he's no longer here. I think he died in like, I don't know, 2017, 18, 19, somewhere around there. I don't have it memorized. But I know it was somewhere in that, because I remember thinking when I came on board 2019, I was okay, so it must have been like 2018 that he passed, because I remember thinking, gosh, like just now, like he just passed a year before. So I think it was around that. So it was either 2019, I'm pretty sure it was 2019, early 2020 when I came on board. So all that to say, his story is just really beautiful, right? He came kind of from nothing, and then he kind of traveled the world. He had this passion for wellness, and he went all over the world, studied with a bunch of different people. He kind of really made this his thing. He studied with people who do aromatherapy and people who are like botany experts and historians, and he learned all about this stuff. He learned about how he learned how to make the oils himself. He learned about um, all the different ways oils have shown up in different cultures around the world throughout time. And then he started to notice how farmers weren't being treated fairly, even when they had like a quality product or whatever. And so anyway, these are I can't tell you his whole history. I tell you the things I remember that I really loved about learning about, that I loved when I was learning about him, because I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to go all in on something, I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to study, I'm going to research. So I did my research on him. Damon, I don't know if you can hear me, but that smoothie is delicious, babe. I just took a little sip. Um, then I think he like did all this, and then if I'm not mistaken, again, I don't have it like 100% memorized, but I believe he started a farm of his own with like lavender, and started like distilling it himself, learning the science behind it, like really studying it. And from there, I think is how Young Living was born, just with lavender, which is crazy, right? And then he and his wife just really kind of spearheaded it. And forgive me, I do not remember her name in this moment. Gosh, I can't remember her name, but his wife is still alive. She's the CEO. She still shows up in all the like marketing materials, and they have her at the she kind of there's a foundation in the Young Living, like a Young Living foundation. She still is very active in that. So I love, again, y'all know I'm a sucker for husband wife pairs doing business together. I told y'all that the other day. I was like, if there are other if there's a husband wife team doing something in business, I'm trying to support it. So when I read that about Young Living, that checked a box for me. The way they vet their farms checked the box for me. They actually, somebody from Young Living goes to the farm, vets the farm, walks around, stays there, watches their process, watches how they treat their employees. Like they care about that, right? And that made that matters to me. So check that box. And then I tried the products, and the products are amazing. Check that box. And I needed to see for myself that they made a difference. So check that box, right? So it just, yeah. So anyway, all of that to say, um, I really wholeheartedly, and I know people have their own, listen, everybody has their own experience out there. I had a really good experience. I actually came in through Tiffany. And I had a really great experience being onboarded through the people who brought Tiffany in. I joined a Facebook group at the time when I was doing Facebook, and that was helpful. So yeah, all of that to say, I talk about Young Living, not a lot, mostly with my family because I got all of them using oils to help them with all their things. Um, Sorry, I'm just noticing, squirrel moment. I'm just noticing that I have this little tin that I could trade out for this little tin, I think. uh, I don't know if it'll fit. I don't know if they will fit, but look how little this is. It's so cute. I've got my nibs in here. All my dip pen nibs are in here. Okay, anyway, sorry for that squirrel moment, but I know that there are people out there who had a bad experience, and so they hate Young Living and they bash it, they talk about it, but I think the same is true of all of them. Plant therapy, doTERRA. I had a bad experience with doTERRA. I mean, I still have some of their product, and I'm still signed up with their stuff, but I don't really, yeah, anyway, I won't go into that because I don't feel like I need to, bash them or whatever. I personally did not have a good experience with them, and it could have been that the person that I came through, um, who shall remain unnamed. But yeah, I just think everybody's going to have a different experience. You get in, you get what you put in, right? Like if you don't do your research, if you don't read, I mean, Young Living is obsessive with the amount of learning opportunities they give us. Like they are always teaching something. I feel like every week they have a new thing that they're teaching, talking about, showing. Like it's just, they do conferences. I mean, it's a really, yeah. So anyway, and I think that they do care about the people who are talking and promoting their products. Not like they're coming to your house to have dinner with you kind of caring, but like as much as a company can care about people, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's all I want to say about that. Okay. So, Young Living. If you want to know more, ask me questions. I'm happy to answer questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll be like, hey, I don't know. Here's where you can find out. Right. And last thing I'll say about Young Living, I have a little group that I started for people who have come in through me. And it hasn't really been active for the last couple of years, but my goal is to get it back active because I feel like as creatives, there's a lot of toxins in the stuff that we use, and we have to have things to counter that. And for me, it's oils. Like I have my diffuser going in my studio a lot because if not daily, I'm not even gonna claim daily, but probably 5 out of 7 days a week I've got it going in my studio, to keep that energy moving and flowing. So yeah, so I'll leave it at that. But I do think that as creatives, we come in contact with a lot of things. Some of the glues we use, some of the adhesives, some of the paints we use, are not necessarily the best for us. We're breathing in things. If you're using chalk pastels, you're breathing in that stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff we use as creatives and mixed media artists. Anytime we sand something, all of that stuff it accumulates over time. And it's always interesting when I come across artists who are struggling with like neurological things. I'm always like, there are so many things you could do to help with some of that, if not reverse it. I'm not a doctor, not giving it medical advice by any means. Okay, let's name that. So don't try to, yeah, not doing that. Just saying that I've seen it and I know. So, all right, so I'm done with that part. Let's move on and talk about pins. If you want me to circle back to something regarding Young Living, I'm happy to do it. This smoothie is so good. Damon, I don't know if you're on, but good job. Delicious. Sorry if y'all can hear me like slurping. All right, let's talk. Can we talk pens again? Okay, thanks. Yay. Let's talk pens. So I put in the title of this, I think I put Yafa in the title. I don't know if I did or not. But anyway, Yafa is a manufacturing company. Okay. They manufacture pens. And I think they're based in California. I almost feel like I'm 100% sure because I remember driving through, because Damon used to train all over California, and we would do a lot of road trips. And I want to say it was like in Sacramento, maybe. Don't quote that. But the Yafa company, YAFA, they manufacture several different brands. Conklin. I think I have a Conklin. We'll see. Oh, do I? Is this my Conklin right here? This would be crazy if it is. It is Conklin. This is one I've gifted to Damon because, and I'll tell you why when I show it. But Conklin is one of their brands. Pineda, which I don't have a Pineda. I do have. There's a German company called Online. That's the name of the pen line. Online, and I have one of theirs, maybe two. Monteverde, I think. I think that yeah, Monteverde, and Stipula. So those are the pen companies. They manufacture some other things. Like I think they manufacture stuff for like Hugo Boss or some other things, but I know them for fountain pen stuff. Um, Conklin, Monteverde, Stipula, Online, and Pineda. So I thought I'd show some. I thought I would show some pens and talk about that. Some pens I haven't shown, some of which are, wait for it, not fountain pens. They're rollerball. They're rollerballs. So I'll show some of those. Suzanne says, I have some oils that are by another company, not Young Living, and they smell musty. It must be their processing. Yeah, that's the other thing. Not all oils are created equal, right? Like the oils that you get from the companies that you can buy sort of commercially. Well, that's not the right way to say that. That you can buy like in big box stores or from Amazon or right. Those are not, yeah, the processing. You nailed it right there. It's usually how they're processed, the farm, the quality of the product, how much they dilute them. Like Young Living has some of the purest essential oils out there that you're going to find. So the processing does matter. All right. So I thought, if I'm going to talk about Yafa, I should bring out some of my pens that are not fountain pens and talk about them. So here we go. We're going to talk Yafa and more. This is actually, Damon, do not come running in this room when I show this pen. This is actually a Yafa rollerball. And I think Damon thinks this pen is his. I don't know if he's even on right now. I'm teasing him, but so this is a little twist action rollerball. I don't even know. Let's get some paper out here because I don't know if any of these, I haven't used a lot of these pens in a while, so they probably don't have ink in them. No. But this used to be one of my favorite pens to write with, this little Yafa rollerball. So they make some really neat, cute little pens. So that's a Yafa rollerball. I think, is this a Yafa as well? Hold on. I need my glasses to see the little tiny on here. Nope, that's Monteverde. So technically, yes. Technically, yes, it is manufactured by Yafa. This one is like a little nod to some bamboo. But I love that smoky quartz kind of color that it's got going on there. Again, probably done right. Ooh, it writes a little. Nope. These I have not looked at these or worked with these in a while. So, so that's a Monteverde. This is also, now Monteverde used to be my brand. When I was collecting rollerballs, Monteverde was my brand. That's a Think pen. That's not Monteverde. But they were my brand. Love them so much. I'll come back and talk about some of these others that I'm not talking about in this moment. That's a Schaefer. is, I can't remember the brand. I think this might be a Monteverde. Let's see. I keep having to put the glasses on. No, I don't know what this one is. I like it a lot. It was one of my first little roller balls when I became a teacher. How about that one? I'm going to come back and talk about some of these others. Oh, I have a story to tell about this one. Wait, is this the one? Hold on. Y'all, every story I have has a name. Has a oh yeah, I do have a story attached to that. That's a we'll come back to that. I could have sworn I had. Okay, not in these. Let's keep looking. Hold on. I brought out the big guns here. I feel like that's a Monteverde. Let's see. Yeah, that's a Monteverde. This is the Mountain. They have a line called Mountain, and I think this is a fountain pen, actually. Yeah. Ooh, I need to clean that. Bad fountain pen user. Look at that nasty nib. All right, I got to clean that. So the Monteverdes they just have really pretty pens. Like their pens are just colorful, pretty. They got all sorts of things that they do with their pens. But, oh, I got to clean this. I feel really bad. I'm going to leave it out because I need to clean that. I don't remember if this one is Monteverde. I don't think it is. It's so funny when I look back at some of these pens, I'm like, oh my goodness, the story of the pen. The story of the pen. All right, here's a Jaffa. This for the how did this Twisby get in here? My goodness, you're in the wrong place. This pen, oh my gosh, this was my very first extra fine. Like this thing is so fine point when you write with it. But this is a Jaffa, and this one, what do I want to say about this pen? I love the grip on it. It's got this, squishy little grip. There's something else I want to say a name about this pen. I don't remember. It might be the story. But anyway, that's a Jaffa. That's a Schaefer. Oh, here's the online one, I think. Wait, is it? It says Itoya, but I'm pretty sure this fountain pen is by the company online. Now I feel like I'm wrong. I don't know for a fact. So don't quote me on that. What else we got here? No, that's a cross pen. No, that's Pilot. Oh, here is. Sorry, I told you wrong. That's not the one. This one, I think. Yeah, this is the one that is the Jaffa online pen. But this was my first little translucent pen I ever bought. Also, snap, a snap cap. So that's that one. What else we got here? Do these even write anymore? These are not fountain pens, I don't think. Ooh-wee, that's nasty. Yeah, I probably should throw these away, except I think these are refillable. Yeah, I think you can pop this out, buy a new piece, pop the new piece in. And these are lettering pens by Zig. But clearly I'm not using them because I have them in this case and they are pretty sad. Oh, that one writes. Barely. Interesting. Yeah. So anyway, these are refillable. you can like, oh, it still has ink in it. Maybe I just need to work with it more. I don't know, y'all. Don't quote it. Zig, and I cannot pronounce that name, but it's the Cocorio. Corio? I don't know. It's a lettering pen. Can y'all see that? So how do I clean them? I'm thinking you mean when I go back to these ones I'm talking about that I'm like, oh, I need to clean these. There are several ways. When it's a light cleaning of the pens, just some warm water. Warm water. Wipe them down with a cloth that's almost kind of like a t-shirt type. Not anything that's going to scratch the nib or scratch the pen. When I have a heavier need, I will sort of, the medium level. Like this one is probably going to be a heavy situation. I'm probably going to have to soak this. Now, some people use a little bit of ammonia with their stuff. That makes me nervous. What I do is I'll spray it with a little bit of alcohol. And then I'll just stick it in some warm soapy water with a soap that is kind of like, well, if I'm being honest, I use Thieves soap. They have a liquid soap. But if I for whatever reason don't have Thieves on me, something that is not like abrasive, not like a real high chemical one. And I'll just take the nib out. So for instance, some of them have nibs that detach. I don't think this, oh, yep. So I'll take the nib section off altogether, and I'll just stick this whole section into like a little container of water. I have a little shot glass type situation, like this kind of small little glass, and I'll just stick it into that and let it soak overnight. This is probably going to have to soak overnight. I can't imagine it won't need that. And then when I get really, really intense with my cleanings, I'll show you my cleaning bag. Hold on. I can't believe I didn't share my cleaning bag on maybe I did. I don't remember if I did or not. I think I took this pen. I was sitting here trying to figure out why I took this pen out of rotation. And I think it's a heavier pen, so the hand fatigue, especially if I post it, it's a little heavier. But that's no reason for it to be in this bag. It should not be over here in this bag. All right, so when I'm doing a heavy cleaning, Goulet makes a pen flush. And so I'll use this pen flush, but it has a little bit of ammonia in it. And it's got distilled water, always distilled water. I try to use when I can. If I'm just doing a quick cleaning under the sink, that's fine. But if I'm gonna like soak it, I do try to use distilled water. But they have a little pen flush, so I have that. And then when it's real serious, I get my little, you can see I got ink all over this. I get my little flusher out and I get a bunch of soapy water in this. And then I just take the soapy water and I treat it like it's the cartridge. I push it in there and push it through. And I just like to flush it out. So I'll flush it that way. So it just depends on how much love and attention it needs during the cleaning process. Sometimes it's just an easy, if it's a pen I use all the time and I want to change the ink color from one color to another, that doesn't require all of these tools and fancy things that I got going on here. I also keep a little toothbrush in here that has never been used on anybody's teeth. And I'll use this to scrub the nib or any, parts where there might be ink on it that I need to address. Why is there so much fuzz? What is this coming from? I'm bothered by that. Yeah, so that's my cleaning process. Sometimes the other little tool I have for cleaning is this little brass. I don't know if it's brass or not, but this little thing, I don't even know how to describe what it is. It's like a piece of, you know what they make film out of, like the negatives of film? It's kind of got that kind of feel to it, but this is really great when you need to clean in between the tines of your, so the nib has what we call tines, these two sides of this, we call them tines. And if you need to clean in between them, you need something that can get in there without pushing them open and making them, so, you can press down and just lightly, and it'll open those tines up a little, and you stick that in there. So if you've got something clogged, and this is helpful for when you have metallic inks, shimmer inks, because they have little granules in them. Like that's what's making them shiny and shimmer, right? And if you leave that stuff in your pen, and you're not using the pen regularly, that stuff can get clogged up in there. And so this little thing can help with that. So yeah, I've got all the tools to keep my pens in working order. It's just a matter of actually doing it. Like not putting a pen away that still has ink in it, because that's basically what that little gunk is a result of. Yeah, so that's my little cleaning bag with all my cleaning goodies in it, and my little supplies that I use for cleaning my pens. Whenever Damon sees this bag come out, he's like, okay, she's gonna be using the sink in the bathroom for the next 4 hours. Because when I do a pen cleaning day, I try to clean all the pens. Okay, I'm cleaning all the pens at that point. Clean those old pens. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so let me show you some of the pens that are in here since I have it open. Sometimes, y'all, I buy a pen just because I'm like, how do I not buy this pen? So Schaefer, I think, yep, Schaefer did a special pen. I don't know if it was a limited edition or not, but it's a Yoda pen. Like, come on, it's Star Wars, it's Yoda. Who's not buying this? And then on it, it says, do or do not. There is no try. Fear is the path to the dark side. So I was like, I have to get this. And it's a little fountain pen with Yoda on it. And I was like, I have to have it. How can I not? I don't even think I've ever inked it up. And I don't think it was a very inexpensive pen. In fact, I'm sitting here like, did I ever ink it up? Ooh, and it doesn't act like it wants to come off. Let's see. Huh, okay. I'm not going to force it because I need to figure out why that's doing that. But that's a Schaefer pen. Schaefer pens take their own kind of cartridges, but I bought it just for that. It's very light. I mean, it's kind of like just a fun novelty pen. This pen looks like it's probably like the cheapo pen. In fact, it is. It's like from like the little Daiso from like the Japanese dollar store, which is Daiso. However, this particular pen that came from Daiso was actually fitted with a nib that was fine-tuned by a pen master. I got it at a pen show. I took a class, and the woman who taught the class, her husband is a pen tuner. He tunes nibs, and he did that for every single person that was there. So he turned a dollar store pen into at least a $50 pen just by changing the nib out for us. This one, what's the story of you? What's your deal? I don't even know what the deal of this pen is. Oh, yes, I do. See this white, this clear feed on the back? I love when a nib has a clear feed. I don't know why. I just do. It's a weird thing. But I love it. I want to say, I don't know the brand of this pen? I want to say I've not even inked it. By looking at it, I don't see that I've inked it. This was one of the first fountain pens I ever bought. This brand, do you guys remember this? Well, I don't know. You may. The Sensa brand. They were the first to come out with these like grippy little things. Sensa, S-E-N-S-A. I love this fountain pen so much, but I don't use it. And I think I don't use it because it's heavy. It's a heavy pen. But it's such a gorgeous pen and a gorgeous write. Like the nib is beautiful. But yeah, I want to say, somehow I feel like this brand is associated with Monteverde for some reason, but don't quote that. I already mentioned and talked about the Pilot Metro Retro and Metro Animal. They had like an animal line and a retro line. So that's those. Really cool colors. This little pen. Okay. This is what we call a hooded nib. So it has a regular nib in there, but it's hooded, meaning it has what acts as like a little hood over the top of the nib. I love writing with a hooded nib. They usually do a hooded nib on a very delicate nib, like they'll put a hood on it. I'm also noticing that this is sticky, which means I probably left ink in it. I did. This is what's called a bladder fill, and I didn't talk about those. Yeah, a bladder fill is an old back in the day. Old back in the day. So this pen is kind of like a knockoff of an old Schaefer pen that Schaefer used to make back in the day. It's not a Schaefer, but it's kind of like a knockoff of the Schaefer. But it writes gorgeously. It's a weird feel. You squeeze this thing, you dip this into the ink, and then you release the bladder and it sucks it up. I hate that mechanism. I think it is absolutely horrible. But this one has, this is the only way this pen fills is through this bladder mechanism. And that's just covering it to help you do that. So it's a weird thing. There's some modern pens that are bladder filled, but it's a little bit different. What else? I'm pretty sure this is a pen I have never used. Look at this. Isn't it gorgeous? Don't ask me why I've never used it. I think it's the size of it. It feels big in my hand. And I don't really like a two-tone nib. Not a fan of the two-tone nibs. But, oh, no, it has had ink in it, I can see. So I must have used it at some point. Or maybe I just dipped that nib. Nope. I used it at some point. Probably should clean it. Probably should clean it, folks. What else? Oh, this was one of my first top 5 handmade, artisan-made fountain pens, not made by a major company pens. Probably need to clean it. Yep. Goodness gracious, what am I doing? I probably put these pens in here with the intention of coming back to them, and I just didn't. When I bought it, I didn't know it wasn't postable. I tend not to buy pens that don't post. I don't like a pen that doesn't post. But I bought this pen because, well, look at the, just look at it. It's just gorgeous. Who doesn't want this swirliness? But then I got a little bit discouraged when I realized it didn't post, but it's still a beautiful pen. It's got a beautiful nib. I just need to take it out and clean it for sure. Let's clean you. Good beginner throwaway pens. And I say throwaway as in if you lost it, broke it, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, my $70 pen, my $200 pen. This one is by a company called Manuscript. and it has a very calligraphic nib on it. See that pointiness? That sort of squared off nib. Writes beautifully. Makes your handwriting look like you know calligraphy. Manuscript is the brand of that one, and I probably paid $5 for it. It's not an expensive pen. 10 at the most. This one is by Pentel, and it's called Tradio. The first time I bought a Tradio, I was actually in Barcelona, I'm pretty sure. This is a really great nib. You can use a converter with it, and I want to say that I paid under $20 for this. It writes beautifully. In fact, I don't know why I don't have it out. I've had like several of these. I need to clean it. Just take these out. They need to get cleaned. Put this over here. These pens are, so this is called a Sherpa. I can't remember the company who makes Sherpas. I can't remember, but it's called a Sherpa. And you actually can they have this little fountain pen that you can put in it. But think of a Sherpa. A Sherpa carries something else, right? So this Sherpa has this little fountain pen thing in it. But it also, the whole point of Sherpas is that you can also put in them, let's see if I can find one easily. I don't see my, Sharpies right now. But the idea, I don't know if this one will fit because it's not a Sharpie, but they're made to fit Sharpie markers. Like you can put a Sharpie in there, and I don't have a Sharpie, so I can't demo with a Sharpie. But just imagine if I had a Sharpie pen, right? A Sharpie marker. You put the Sharpie in there and it almost looks like it's meant to be in here, right? So this one's not going to work because it's not a Sharpie. But just imagine, use your imagination. The Sherpas are meant to Sherpa around Sharpies. And there's a whole list of pens that they can do. I kind of made it fit this one by putting some tape on it. But I like how it then kind of transforms the pen, you know? Yeah. So Sherpa. Now, one of my very first collector pens brands was Acme. And I was collecting Acme's as roller balls, right? And the thing about Acme pens is they are artist designed. So every one of them is designed by a particular artist. And then you kind of get that artist's signature on your pen. And you get to know like the story of the artist. This one probably won't zoom. Right. So this one is called Punctuation. And the thing about Acme pens is they are transformers. So I can take this pen and I can turn it into a fountain pen if I wanted to, just by switching out the top section of it, right? So when I learned that about Acme, I was like, oh, yes, I'm definitely getting myself an Acme. So I don't need to take that off. It can stay. Oh, clearly this one needs to be cleaned out. Goodness gracious, Kyla. Get it together. I'm not being a very good pen owner over here. So Acme brand is a really cool brand. I love them. Their pens are lovely. Oh, this one might have some ink in it. Let's see. I used to only write with my Acmes. Like, I'm not writing with any other pen. I have a couple of other Acmes that I'm not seeing in here. In fact, I'm wondering. Oh, this is one of my favorite Acmes because the the artist, Thomas Reeves, is a Black man. And I think this was one of the first pens they did with the art of an African American person on it. So I really cherish this one. I'm gonna put it there with that. Actually, I feel like there's probably a reason I had it in this container, so I'm gonna just put it back where I had it. So, what else do I have here? I'll show a couple more and then we'll shift to something else for a minute. This pen, we went to Hawaii. I don't even remember what year, but this pen is made by an exquisite pen maker. And it's a wood. It's made out of wood. The wood of the trees that are native to Hawaii. Cannot think of the name. The baboa tree, maybe. Can't think of that. Might be right. And then the process he uses. I mean, he stood there and talked to me for a while about his pens, and I was just enamored with it. And why haven't I written with this in a long time? Who knows? It still has ink in it though. But it's a roller ball. It's a twist action roller ball. And I cherish this pen. It, first of all, has the memories of us going to Hawaii, but also just the story behind the person's story who created these pens. This is one of my favorite little pens that I don't write with enough. I need to get it in rotation. It's a roller ball. However, it behaves like a fountain pen because you can put a fountain pen cartridge. It takes fountain pen cartridges. Let's see if it'll write with that one in there. So it's a roller ball that you use fountain pen cartridges with. And I've had this thing for a long time, so I don't even know if it remembers how to write. I probably need to flush it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to flush that because it. Come on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to flush it because it's probably like, wait, ink? I don't know what to do with ink. Yeah, so but that's the beauty of this pen. I want to say it's by Levenger, or that I bought it at Levenger. I don't know what brand it is. Nothing indicating brand on here, so I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I bought it at Levenger years ago when we lived in South Florida. What else? That was a gift. That was my first Mont Blanc. I do actually own a Mont Blanc, but it was a gift from a dear friend of mine. And she knew how much I love pens, and she knew how much I love the color purple. And she bought me this as a graduation gift when I graduated from Mills. And I haven't thought about that pen in a while. I'm going to end this by talking about this. Hold on. I'm going to end it by talking about this pen, but let me show you the Conklin since I took the Conklin out. Let's look at it. This Conklin is actually gifted to Damon. I just haven't inked it for him yet. But it is one of their pens that is really designed to patina over time. It's designed for you to use it, and the oils on your hand will transform this pen based on your usage. Okay. It's a gorgeous pen. Conklin makes beautiful pens. The nib is exquisite. Just a really beautiful pen. I feel like I'm Vanna White or something, like I'm showing, and now the pen does this. But this pen is unique because every single person who owns this pen, 2 years in, everybody's pen looks different because your unique oils of your body are going to patina this pen differently than it would for my body or somebody else's body, right? So, and it's a heavy pen. So, and I can't remember. It's the Nighthawk, I think is the name of this one. Nighthawk. And it's in copper. But again, it's going to patina over time depending on the person who's using it. So that is the Conklin. And I bring that one up because it's Yafa Manufactures Conklin pens. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about this one. I don't know if Damon is on or not, but this is a funny story about this pen. Yes, I do use glass dip pens. I have a bunch. I say a bunch. I have several. This is my favorite one. And they're so delicate that I have like 4 of them, but I keep only 2 out. It's funny because the same person who gave me that Mont Blanc that I showed gave me this dip pen from Italy. She brought it back to me from Italy. Isn't it gorgeousness? At least I think this is the one. She gave me a dip pen that she brought back from Italy. I think this is it. I'm pretty sure that's it. Okay, let's talk about this pen. This pen. Okay, so this pen is, it's the Havana, and it's by Tombow, the same people who make the markers that we love. These same people, okay? But I didn't know anything about the markers. So I saw this pen. Where was I? In Mexico? Was I in Mexico? I can't remember. I want to say I was in Mexico and I saw this pen. And my brother-in-law at the time, he and my sister are no longer married, but my brother-in-law at the time smoked Cohiba cigars. Okay. And he and I were, maybe it was Jamaica. Oh my God. I don't remember where it was. Is it Mexico or Jamaica? We both saw this pen. Now he really loves pens too, but he's straight roller balls, not fountain pens. Not that I'm aware of. He's also a Capricorn. So we have a lot of little things in common. And so we both saw this pen and we both were like, oh my God, that pen is beautiful. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. I want to say I was in, was I in college or high school? I can't remember the timeline. I was either in college or high school, but whatever it was, I didn't have the money to buy this pen. I was like, I don't have the money to buy this pen. But this pen is called the Havana because it is supposed to mimic the cigars that are like so popular in Cuba. All right, so it was created with that in mind. It's supposed to mimic that, right? That was the whole point of it. So of course my brother-in-law, I mean, he was an adult he's a lawyer, like he had the money to buy the pen. So he bought the pen right then for himself. He bought himself the pen. I could not stop thinking about this pen. Fast forward a year, maybe 2. Damon and I, so yeah, this must have been college. It might have been even, no, so I got to fast forward way more than 2 years. Fast forward some years. I forget about the pen. I don't think about the pen anymore. And then Damon and I are dating. We're not even married at the time. We're dating. And I feel like it was the first year we were dating. So probably like in 2000, somewhere around there. And we are in Miami. And we go into a store that is not a pen store. It's some other kind of store. I don't even remember why we were in there. And they had a section of pens, and this one was in there. And they had one. And the pen was ridiculously priced. Because at this point, it was like probably a limited edition, or it was like, anyway, it was ridiculously priced. And I was like, I have to have this pen. We drove all over Miami looking for this pen somewhere else that was cheaper. Like we did, it was crazy pants. Damon, I don't know if you're listening, and I don't know if you remember this story about this darn pen. We drove all over Miami. Mind you, we did not live in Miami. We lived in Fort Lauderdale, but we drove all over Miami, going from store to store. I contacted Tombow. I was like, who are the retailers? It was a whole thing, y'all. I was obsessed I had to have this pen. And now here it sits and I don't even use it. I need to take it out and put it back in rotation just because of that. Um, so yeah. So anyway, I thought y'all might get a kick. There's probably a lot more I'm leaving out of that story just for the sake of time, but it was quite a journey to get this pen into my collection. But also one that I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have that pen. Here's the thing about a Capricorn: when we set our mind to something, very little can make us change our mind or get in our way. We're like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. That's happening. All right, friends. That's enough about pens. I'm going to end this conversation by talking a little bit as I look through a couple of pens I have here. Oh, that's a neat one. Huh. Here's one more little pen you might try as a sort of cheapy pen. This is by Speedball. They must have like a little calligraphy line or something because that's a calligraphy pen. And it's yeah, it's got a little converter, which is good for Speedball. So yeah, you might try that. I'm sure this pen is reasonably priced because it's Speedball and I can feel the material is kind of like a plasticky, so it's probably reasonably priced. Sorry, you get me started on the pens and I can't stop. So many good pens I own that I don't use. I gotta start using them. Let's talk. I'm going to transition from pens for a moment to talk. I keep saying that, and yet I'm not transitioning. I'm really transitioning right now. Okay. Let's talk about your head and yearly reviews, and that'll be the last thing I talk about today. I don't have a lot to say about yarn. I mean, basically, I could just show you some yarn and tell you that I have things I do with yarn. But oh, actually, let me show you one yarn project that I love. Hold on. These are incomplete, but these are my yarn mandalas, my chakra mandalas. That we had a teacher in Pulp and Paint 2 years ago, Erin Orion, and Erin taught us how to make altar cloths. But then she went on to teach inside of Life Alchemy Academy a class called Weaving Your Chakras Whole. And in that, she walked us through this lovely process of learning how to weave on these on a basically embroidery hoop, right? And don't do the back. This one's incomplete. I have a little bit of space I want to fill in right here, and I think I'm actually going to undo these pieces. I don't like them, so I may even end up redoing this. I liked having that in the beginning, in the middle, sort of really tightly woven, and then, but this is to represent my root chakra actually, and so there's some pieces in here that I'm not digging so much. I might take them out, so it's incomplete. And then this was one I was just doing to play with. It doesn't actually represent either of my chakras. I just wanted to do something with my yarn. So these are two projects that I really love that I need, that are on my project tower over here because I need to finish them. I want to do one. I actually also think I want to take this one a loose because I actually want to do them all this size so that they can sit one on top of the other on my wall, like the chakras kind of go up. So Suzanne says, I have the incomplete chakras weaving set too. Okay, good. I'm not alone. I'm pretty sure a lot of us do. Some people actually did all 7 of those, all 7 of theirs during the class as we were going through, because Erin gave us beautiful meditations and lectures and stories and connected it back to mythology and brought in all sorts of beautiful history. And she's a weaver and an energy worker, so she was like the perfect person to teach us this. And so I have one that started here, but I think I'm actually going to take this one down and just go for all the smaller sizes. I think this is more doable. And also then I can hang it on my wall. This isn't one of the chakra ones. So, and then I also want to wrap my hoop, because I just think that gives it will give it a more finished look. So yeah, there's that. So that's one of my little things I do with yarn. I think the other thing I do, and I share it with you all, is Bargello, which I'm learning. I'm not very good at it yet. But I'm hoping to get good at it. And I have one other little yarn project that I'm working on that I'm not going to share yet, because I'm going to be teaching it in Pull Pen Paint this year for one of our creating chats. And so I'm going to hold on sharing that. I did bring over, though, my little bag of yarn, so I thought I would share some yarn. I'm still learning about the different kinds of yarn, and what a yarn has in it versus, wool versus worsted weights versus like all the different lingo and language around it. I don't know. This yarn probably has acrylic in it. I'm not 100% sure. And I know my yarn people who are like diehard, hardcore yarn folks, crocheters, knitters. Somebody even asked me about crochet. I haven't tried to crochet on one yet. Oh, okay, yeah. But I just love these colors, and I'm gonna be making something with this actually for my PPP lesson. This one, I'm pretty sure. I'm just looking to see what it's made up of. So like I said, I can't really teach you anything about yarn. I do have some indie dyed, indie produced yarn in my stash. I'll show that one in a moment. There is this local woman here, Natalie. She used to have a yarn store, a local yarn shop. She would dye the yarn, she sold it, she would teach people crochet and knitting. But she, I think she moved, I'm not 100% sure, but this is some of her yarn. She called this Gulf Coast Orchard, 80% merino, 20% nylon. I don't know what the SW means. Fingering, 3-ply, 100 gram, 400 yards. And so it's just a really beautiful, I think, and it's hand dyed. She dyed that. This was gifted to me at Sacred Makers, and this is they gave me the little tag so I would know what I have here. Made in Italy. I don't know. She told me it was like 100% wool maybe, but it's some kind of special wool. But it is like the softest freaking thing I've ever touched. So that was gifted to me. This is another one from Natalie. She called this Gulf Coast Indigo. So I got to do something with this year because indigo is my color of the year. So that's a really pretty one that she hand dyed. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what this one is, but I think I got it from Natalie. Put those back in there. So I do try to support. We do have we have 2 local yarn shops here, I think. We have also, I just learned of, I think it's called Bad Sheep. Is it called Bad Sheep? Bad Sheep Yarn. They are local here to Pensacola. They used to be based in Alaska, but again, the husband and wife who own it, they actually moved here to Pensacola. And so they don't have a physical location like a brick and mortar. They operate out of here. And so I was like, oh my God, you're here? Could I just like come pick up some yarn from you? And she was like, let's do it. This is some roving that Natalie gave me when I told her the projects I was working on with the Weaving Your Chakras. She called this something, coffee and cream or something like that, but it's really beautiful. So I love that. And then last but not least, I'll show one more because this is yarn by a woman of color, Adela, and her company is called Lola Bean Yarn Company. And this, I don't know what the color of this one is. I bought a little kit. The color is called Trailblazed, Fingering Weight, Merino, and Nylon Blend. But that color, like, I don't know if y'all can see the variegatedness in that. But I like fingering weight because you can use fingering weight in embroidery projects, right? Because it's thin enough. You just need a needle that can fit that, but you could use it. You can also use this for this thin yarn. Even if you're not a crocheter or a knitter, you can use it with Bargello. You can use it with, I think, probably even some other counted cross stitch type things or whatever. So anyway, I love Adela's work. Like this one is called Soiled Myself, which I think is a fun name. So I got those two, and it came in this kit that I got. I can't remember, but it has some washi in it. Mended Hun, like that. It had needle minders. Is this a needle? Yep. This one says, this is taking forever. It's like a little hourglass thingy. I like this little pen, work in progress. And then I bought these little handmade things. Those little, I don't know what you call them. Labels. Goodness, my brain. So it was a whole little set. It was like a little kit. I think it was supporting some, Adela does a lot of work around supporting different causes and different organizations that are raising money. So a lot of the stuff she does also goes to help raising money for things. And so, yeah. All right. That's all I got to say about yarn, really. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say about the yarn. All right, friends. Let's talk yearly review, but can you all give me one quick second? I want to grab something to show you. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry friends. I will try to cut out all that silence that we just had. I apologize for that. I was trying to find, I hate when I can't find things. Couldn't find it. Okay, so let's talk, last little bit here. Let's talk, I'm going to tell you my yoga story and we'll talk a little bit about reviews. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to prep this fabric for the Inchy challenge that I'm doing with Amy Markle. I'll drop a link for you all. But I'm going to do it this year with fabric. I think that Last year I did it with paper. In fact, can I find where I did that last year? Yep. It's a project that I'm like, I want to do something with these. But Amy does a slow drawing. She has a book called Draw Yourself Calm. And so last year I did the little inchies just with pen and ink. This year, I want to do it with fabric. So it was fun. I don't know, are you all familiar with the Inchy Challenge? Have you done it before? So this was my, some of them have watercolor on them. Most of them were just black and whites. I don't know if you're going to be able to see if I start moving them down there. But this year, it's like this year I'm doing it with, I'm going to do it with fabric this year is my plan. Do I have more in here? No, I had a little box that I repurposed to put all of my little inchies in. And I think these are actually 2 by 2. Yep. These are 2 by 2. So that is the Inchy Challenge. But this year, I'm going to make these little squares out of some muslin, a few different kinds of muslin that I have. And, awesome. Angelisa says she did the challenge last year. Suzanne says she's not done, but she has made inchies. So I'm thinking this year, y'all, that I'm going to do it with fabric. And what I mean by that, let's see, what is this thing? How big is this? I think this is this 2 by 2? No, it's a little bigger than 2. It's like 2.5 by 2.5. Mine are going to be 2.5 by 2.5 because I already have this little omni-grid square that will help me cut my fabric out nice and beautifully. And I like things that are easy. So we're going to let it be easy. And I'm going to use some muslin. And I bought pinking shears. I've never owned pinking shears. I don't even know how they work or what I'm supposed to do with them. I mean, I know what I'm supposed to do with them, but I don't know. Y'all know I'm keeping the packaging, right? Yes, I am. But I don't know if I'm I don't know. We'll see. I may not use that for this. So I am going to keep it simple. I'm not even going to try to I'm not going to stress out about if it's perfect. I'm just going to start cutting fabric. All right, so I'm going to start cutting my little squares here. They won't be identical and exact to start out, but I'm okay with that. So let me tell you our yoga journey. I'll give you all a little glimpse into our world. So back when I was teaching middle school, so this would have been like 1996-ish. Yeah, 96. I started going to a yoga studio that was near the school where I taught. It was actually, the yoga studio was actually run by one of the parents of a seventh grader that I had in my very first year of teaching. And her mom would be like, I know these kids have to be stressing you out. You should come to yoga. I would be like, I don't know anything about this yoga. No, thank you. And that's not true. I mean, I knew what yoga was, so let me not make it seem like I didn't know what yoga was. I absolutely did. Let's try the pinking shears on this. Is there a way to do this? Like you hold them a certain way? Well, ain't that grand? I mean, I know what they do. I know they're meant to keep things from fraying. So how cool is that? So anyway, do I want to do? I'm gonna do one with pinking shears and see how I feel about it. But I feel like this is gonna be more work than I want to do, y'all. I just like to swoop and be done. So I went to her yoga studio and started taking classes. She taught hatha yoga and probably some other kinds of yoga that I didn't know the name of at the time. Do I want to do them like that? Maybe I do want to do some little pinking on them, but I'm not going to do that right now. Right now, I'm just going to cut these out. And so I went to the yoga studio, and I'm not going to say I fell in love instantly, but I kept going back. I kept going back day after day, week after week, month after month. And it was helpful. It was helping me with anxiety that I didn't even know I had until I started feeling myself calm down some, like feel more calm. Then I was like, oh, this is actually doing something. I felt myself not being so reactionary to things in life, not like being so quick to anger, like just so many things. And I was like, okay, this is doing something really good for me. So fast forward, I kept going, I kept attending, and then I started seeking out other yoga things to do, other events to attend, other teachers to learn from. And I just kind of kept going. I wasn't very consistent though. I was barely consistent. And this thing is, I should probably get the one that is meant for my fabrics. This is really my paper one. But it's okay. Don't judge me, people. So by the time Damon and I started dating, I wasn't going as regularly as I wanted to be going, but I was, I would go. Damon was really big into the gym. He went to the gym. I went to yoga. So one night I was like, or one day I was like, hey, I'm going to yoga tonight. I would really like it if you came with me. And he was like, but as men tend to do when they are courting women, this is before we were married. We were still just in our beginning dating time. I mean, we had been friends forever, like 15 years. We knew each other, but we had not dated. And so we were in our dating phase. And I feel like he only went because it was like, okay, I'm trying to date this woman. I should probably do some things that she likes to do. And we liked a lot of the same things, but the gym was not one of the things that I liked. So we went to yoga together. And I think in that moment, Damon found out that he wasn't as flexible as he thought he was. And it, what are those eyes? I'm just looking up at the chat. What are those eyes for, Damon? Angelisa, yes, my plan is to do some stitching on it. But to do the stitching almost as if I were drawing, just like I showed my little squares. So to try to do stitching on it, I think I'm going to double these or maybe even bring in some indigo. I've got this indigo dyed muslin. So I'm thinking that I might back these with the indigo fabric. I don't know yet, but yeah, my plan is to stitch on them for sure. Maybe patterns, maybe just some freestyle, see what shows up kind of thing, you know. The shears leave a zigzag edge so the fabric doesn't fray. Yeah, I knew that that's what they did. The pinking shears, I just never owned a pair till now. I bought them the other day when my mother and I went out into the world, and she wanted to go to Joann's, and I was like, what? She wants to go to Joann's? Yay! The number of times I have been like, Ma, you want to go to Joann's? Nah, I'm good. I don't want to go. But she asked to go, so I was like, oh, say no more. Let's do it. Okay, so yeah, so we went to yoga. Damon, I think, realized in that moment that strength can be found in other places besides the gym. And I'm not going to say he was an instant convert. He didn't convert instantly, but I think it opened his eyes to something. So at that point, we weren't living together. He was just there for a visit. Eventually he did come to live with me. And before we got married, we still weren't married. We weren't even engaged. We were just dating at the time, just seeing where it was going to go. And he, he came to live with me. And through that, we started seeking out other yoga things. So we found a yoga in the beach group. We found a group that was doing, Egyptian inspired yoga. We found all sorts of things, and we would just try different things in the yoga world. Fast forward, 2, 3. I just want to see how many I have here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe 14. I'm gonna pink these. Is that how you say it? So fast forward, we found all these different yoga experiences, and we would do them. We'd go to yoga at the beach, and I think we did some yoga in the park. It was all these different, people doing different things in the world of yoga. And so we did get married, obviously. I think, spoiler alert. We did get married, and we moved to Jacksonville, Florida. So we moved from South Florida, Fort Lauderdale area where we were living, to Jacksonville, Florida. I know those of you who are seamstresses, people who use these things, are probably like, Kyla, you're doing it all wrong. Stop it. Just take a deep breath and let me learn. It'll be okay. I promise. It'll be okay. I can see the error in my ways already, and it's fine. So we got married. We moved to Jacksonville. Don't recommend it. I recommend marriage. Don't recommend moving to Jacksonville. Although we did have a really beautiful life there for a little while till I had my little health issues. But before that, I think we had a great life there. So we moved to Jacksonville, and while we were there, we sought out some yoga experiences, and we found a yoga in the park series. And so we would go to yoga in the park, and it was great for a while, and then it became not great. And what happened was, the woman who was leading the group, leading the classes every, I don't know, it was a weekend day, probably like a Saturday or a Sunday. She didn't change her style, but I could no longer tolerate her talking while she was teaching. Like every little, I was like, oh my God, if she doesn't stop talking, like for whatever reason, it started to really annoy me. And I think I realized in that moment that it was because I had outgrown her. I didn't need her to keep calling out every movement, every breath, I was like, oh my God, we know to breathe. Stop it. But what I realized is it wasn't about her. It was me. It was my growth. I had outgrown having every little thing named for me. I didn't need that. That's when I was like, okay, we need a new yoga place. We need a new way to do yoga, new place. So we started searching and we found a studio that we really liked. A husband and wife. Again, y'all know I got a soft spot for that. I've been having that for a while. That's not new. And we started going to yoga there and we liked it a lot. They were great. It was a new style of yoga we hadn't done called Vinyasa Flow in the Ashtanga tradition. And what we loved about it most is that they took the time to also educate people at their facility. Like if you were coming to yoga there, Damon, everything okay? I heard some crashing in there. Okay, thank you. um, so what we really loved about them is that they would educate you. So not that they were talking through every little thing, but they would educate you on what they were asking you to do. They would give all sorts of, like, after the practice, they would sit there for about 10 or 20 minutes and just talk to you. They'd share things. They'd let people ask questions. And Damon and I are lifelong learners. We're educators. That felt really like nourishing to us. And we went to that studio. I would say we probably went there about a year. And then we saw that they were going to be doing a yoga teacher certification. So we were like, we like them and we think we should do this. So we did. We signed up. We also thought it would be a really good a bonding activity for us to do together as a couple. What we didn't know is how intense it would be. Not just intense in terms of like yoga, it can be intense, but intense in terms of time intensity. I mean, there were books. We had homework assignments. We had books. I mean, it was a lot. But it also, I think, strengthened a lot of things. It strengthened our relationship and it shored us up for what would then be the next adventure, which was me having a health scare and then us eventually moving to Oakland. And I feel like our yoga teacher certification that we did together as a couple really was a good foundation for us and all those other things that ensued after. I think it helped Damon be a little more patient, not more, I mean, he was already pretty patient, but more patient with me when I was going through my health stuff. His level of compassion skyrocketed, I think. I think that I also gained a lot of like understanding about just energy, how energy works, my energy, and all the things. And it also, I think, was the thing that set Damon up for the move to Oakland, because we didn't really know what Damon was going to be doing when we moved to Oakland. I mean, he had a job online teaching. We both did. And so we knew he would do that, but we didn't know what his like social life would be like. We knew I was going to be in school most of the time and that it was a pretty intense program I was going into. We didn't really have any sort of vision. Damon was like, yeah, I'm going where you go. Not. I was like, if you don't want to come to Oakland, you don't have to. He was like, we're married. I'm going where you are. And so hang on, y'all. I need to kind of brush this away. It's gonna bug me if I don't. My little studio brush from IKEA. I like this thing because it has like a little thing like that. And then I use it to do exactly what I'm doing here now. Clean off all these bits that get on my table. So we got to Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area, Berkeley, and after the yoga certification, after we finished and completed our yoga certification, I actually did not have any desire to teach yoga. Right? I finished my certification. I did all the things I needed to do to complete. However, I didn't have the desire. Like I was like, oh yeah, I don't think this is for me to teach. I think I'm meant to use it in other ways. And that's the thing about Ashtanga. It's 8 limbs of yoga. It's not just asana. It's not just your practice on the mat. They teach you about all the other elements of yoga that make yoga what it is. Does anybody know what I did with my little Omni grid? Oh, here it is. And so just get the strippers. Have y'all ever seen indigo dyed muslin? This was my first time seeing this. They had it at Joann's, and they had it on sale for like $2.99 a yard or something. I was like, oh yeah, give me a couple of yards of that. Anything that looks like denim makes my heart happy. So where was I in this story? So yeah, I realized pretty quickly that I was not going to be at that stage anyway. I may in one point teach yoga, but I figured out pretty quickly that it wasn't going to be. I was going to be better being like an assistant, an assistant to the yoga teacher, because oh, I like that little frayed edge there. Well, I'm not going to get rid of that. I want to keep that for something. So I knew that that was going to be that I wasn't going to be teaching. So I just kind of was like, okay, I've learned a lot about myself, about my body, about yoga, about the history, about, you know, I really immersed myself in it. I mean, the class was intense. It was like hundreds of hours, 750 hours, I think we did that first round. And in doing that, yeah, it just helped me sort of realize I didn't want to teach. Damon, however, got really into like the philosophy of yoga. And so we got to Oakland, and sure enough, what did we come across? I'm walking down the street one day and in San Francisco, and I see a flyer for a yoga philosophy class. And I was, it was a yoga philosophy lecture open to the public. And I was like, oh, Damon would like this. Let's go. So we went. Sure enough, Damon liked it. And they were introducing a program they were starting called a Yoga Philosophy Certification. And so Damon found a community, and he really got immersed in that. And the rest is kind of history, y'all. I mean, Damon doesn't do halfway. Like if he's in, he's in. So he really embraced the whole community of yoga philosophy. He started, it was a pretty intensive program, and it included, that's where he got introduced to chanting, Vedic chanting, and chanting the Yoga Sutras. And that has kind of become his life's work. And from there, the person, one of the teachers in that program, kind of became Damon's mentor of sorts. And he started a 3-year yoga therapy certification, reached out to Damon and was like, you should be a part of this program. And Damon was like, I think you're right. Of course, I'm paraphrasing this conversation. This is the Kyla version of the conversation. You're getting the Kyla version. And so we're up to the now times in this story where I'm going to keep this one pretty big, where Damon is entering into the 3rd year of this yoga therapist certification program. And it has been lovely and amazing. It takes the Vini yoga tradition, and yeah, so now Damon teaches every Sunday morning in our Life Alchemy community. Damon teaches what he calls flow motion meditation, which is pairing and partnering the breath with movement. And it maps to, well, he has mapped it, his practice that he teaches maps to our framework that we use in the Life Alchemy Academy to help people live a rich life, radically intent on cultivating happiness. And so that kind of brings you up to speed on our yoga story. Damon has an amazing personal yoga practice. I think if adulting didn't get in the way, he would probably stay on that mat for 6 hours a day if he didn't have to do adulting things, you know. But he does have a pretty beautiful personal practice. My mat practice sucks, I'm going to be honest, but I do practice the probably 6 of the other 8 limbs of yoga. And so even though I don't practice asana as often as I should, I do practice the other limbs of yoga. And I think that's what some of the issue in the Western traditions, or the Western, I'm going to say, renditions of yoga, is they focus so much on just your asana practice. They don't focus on pranayama, which is breath work. They don't focus on things like dharma, which is your service work. They don't focus on, like, they don't even consider that stuff to be yoga. But yoga is not just a physical practice, right? It's a mental, it's a mind, body, spirit practice. And so Damon's work is really about that, about helping people bridge mind, body, spirit. And one of the ways that you do that is through the breath. And so he does a lot of work around the breath work part of things. So that's our yoga story. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Suzanne says, I'm loving that you both teach the way you do. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we both just realized we got to lean into what our gifts are. Lean into our gifts, our talents, and our passions. Damon says, and you all are welcome to join us. Yep, for flow motion meditation on Sundays. Just ask Kyla how to sign up. Yeah, there's a link. I'll put it in the Mighty Network. I'll put it in the description for this call. I want to say it's just bit.ly/flow motion. Don't quote me though. That could very well not be correct. But if you're in the Mighty Network, there's likely a flow motion link there. You can just pop in there. And what I'll say is, it's very gentle. Like the yoga that Damon teaches in the flow motion meditation, you literally could do in jeans. We have many of our practitioners who are doing it. Some of them have mobility issues and physical limitations. And so sometimes they're sitting in a chair or laying on their bed when they do it, right? So it's really, there is movement involved, but Damon also gives lots of modifications for those that have limitations. So, and then he also teaches it in person when we're at Sacred Makers. And so people who have attended Sacred Makers get to experience it firsthand in person, which is a completely different energetic experience. Let's just say it really is, you know. Just like the difference between taking an online class for art and being in person with the teacher who's teaching the art. Completely different experience. Okay, I'm going to shift and talk a little bit about, Suzanne says, flow motion is wonderful and not hard on the body. Yeah, Damon keeps it really gentle. Angelisa says, I've always wanted to try yoga, but it looks so hard. Yeah, and I think that is by design. I think some people, especially I find, especially folks in the US, almost want it to be like a sport. It's like yoga's not a sport. It's not intended to be that. It is a mind-body connection, and it should be gentle, and it should be. Now there are types of yoga that, and yoga makes you strong. Like you get stronger doing yoga, but you don't need to come to yoga already strong, right? Doing yoga, I missed a side here. How did I do that? Doing yoga makes you strong. Some people think, oh, I got to get flexible before I come. No, yoga is how you get flexible, right? So yeah, just come as you are. Come as you are. Come where you are. And let it be easy. Let it be fun and easy. Okay, so I'm going to transition in these last few moments here and talk about year-end things. So year-end reviews and year-end reviews and year-end year ahead spreads. So I do a lot of things at the end of my year. One of them is, hold on, let me scrape this stuff onto this. So all right, so year in and year ahead things. I think I am gonna do something like this. It reminds me of little postage stamps, but I think I'll do some that are like blue with the cream backing it, and then I'll do some that are cream with the blue backing it. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I think that's gonna be good. Okay, so as I match these up, I don't know why I feel like I need to do this right now, but I'm gonna. At the end of the year, one of the things I do is I sit down and I do a year in review for my business. I look at all the things that I really enjoyed doing that year, because every year I do something a little different in my business. It's not always the same every single year. There's a lot that is the same, but there are a lot of things I do that are also different each year, right? So I don't know what that beeping is, but hopefully y'all aren't hearing it too much. So one of the things I do is a end of year review, where I am really looking at what I want to continue doing in my business, what it's time to stop doing in my business, what's no longer feeling good, right, and fun to me. And I think it's raining. Sorry, that seems crazy. Damon, is it raining? I don't know what I'm hearing. I hear water outside my window. So I do a year in review in my business, and I do a year review in my life. Because while my business is very much connected to what I do and how I live, they are different, y'all. They are not the same thing. My life is not the same thing. And so, ooh, got some weird shape ones here. Let's see. So I do that for both my life and my business. And I'm gonna have to cut a distance for that one because I'm not cutting it down. Make this one a little smaller. So the year-end review for my business and my life, they kind of look similar. They are not identical, because obviously things I want to pay attention to for like my life and how I'm living aren't going to be identical things for my business, and vice versa. So I do make a distinction, but I do assess. I sit down and I review. I look at old journal entries. I spend a whole, like, let's say I probably spend a day, maybe two. And if I'm being really like on the life part, and then I probably spend a couple of days on the business part as well, probably even more on the business, because I also have to kind of consult with Damon and be like, what do you think was working, so on and so forth. So I do that. In some of the categories, I look at what I want to keep doing, what I no longer want to do. Like there are things where I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. That I didn't like that at all, and that wasn't fun for me. Yeah, I look at who I worked with in a year, like who I collaborated with. Was I a guest speaker in anything? Did I do a presentation in somebody else's community? Did I bring in other people in my community? Which the answer to that is usually yes, because I'm really big on collaborations. But sometimes collaborations don't go the way I would like them to have gone, and so I have to assess that. It's no need in repeating something that didn't work the first time, right? You have to be, to me, what do they say? That's the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing you've been doing, but thinking you're going to get a different result. Yeah. So I think the yearly reviews help with that. So if you're not doing a yearly life review, I invite you to do that. Like we use our framework for our yearly review. So the Rich Life Framework, our 12 Radical Intentions, we use that as our framework. We start the year by assessing where we think we are, and we also do where we want to be by the end of the year. Based on that, we have lots of tools we've created for that. And so we do that so that we then have something to measure it against. But you can create your own thing. Like you can create look at what matters to you, what's important to you, and create from that, create your sort of year-end review from that place. I also do a year ahead spread. I do one for my life, my year ahead in my life, and my year ahead in my business. I do a year ahead spread for my business as well. A little bit different in the questions that I ask for each one, but definitely still a year ahead. Oh, thank you, Damon. He said that's essential. All right, listen, y'all are chatting up in here. Let me see what y'all are saying. 9 a.m. Central or 7 a.m. here in California. Yes, that's the time on Sundays. Thank you, Suzanne. Damon says, in our society, people treat and think of yoga as a fitness program, but yoga, as described by the ancients, is actually a meditation practice. That part. Damon says, in flow motion meditation, we promote prana flow via coordinated movement of the body with the breath as a way to prepare our systems to meditate. Yeah, prana is breath. So, yeah, Damon, thank you for that. I'm going to say that again. In flow motion meditation, we promote prana flow via coordinated movement of body with the breath as a way to prepare our systems to meditate. Oh, yay, Angelisa, we hope we see you there. That would be awesome. It's so funny. Angelisa says in the chat, oh, Damon, my mind stays going. Meditation is going to be a challenge. So here's what's funny, Angelisa. Damon is married to someone who has a monkey mind. Like my thoughts never stop. Like when I ask him, sometimes I'll be like, babe, what you thinking? He'll be like, nothing. I'm like, how is that possible? Who thinks nothing? I don't know what that means. What do you mean you're thinking nothing? I remember when we first started dating, I would get really frustrated with him when he would tell me that, when he'd be like, oh, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm like, that's not possible, dude. If just say you don't want to tell me what you're thinking, like, don't tell me you're not thinking anything. Like it would literally start arguments in our relationship. I would be like, this is BS, dude. I know you're thinking something. Just say you don't want to tell me. And he's like, actually, I'm not thinking anything. Like, I have a clear mind right now. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That's not real. Nobody's mind does that. Hey, I'm not proud of it, but in our early parts of our relationship, we had some arguments around that. We did for sure. So, but here I am 20 years later. We're going to be more than 20 because we will be celebrating 20 years of marriage this year, but more than 20 years together, and way more than 30 years knowing each other. What are we, 36 years at this point? But here I sit now saying, for those of us that have the minds that don't seem to ever stop, think of it less as trying to silence your mind. I go in saying, I just want to slow down the thoughts. I want the thoughts to not come as quickly as often. And if I can have 5 minutes where I go from having 1,000 thoughts a minute to having 400 thoughts a minute, I count that as a win. I count that as meditation. That's me stilling my mind, and letting my mind be stilled, right? Which Damon can talk more about the distinction between those two things. But yeah, Angelisa, I'm right there with you. I'm somebody who's like, yeah, no, I can't meditate. But here's the thing, we can in it, and that's the work, right? So when people who cannot sit quietly and do nothing make me kind of nervous, y'all. Like, you have to be able to get yourself to a place. I'm not saying you have to do it for 45 minutes. You're not in timeout, right? But if you can't ride in a car without the music, if you can't just be in a room with another person, you're not reading, you're not writing, you're not arting, you're not doing anything, you're just being. Like, that's important to have those moments in your life where you're not doing anything, where your mind isn't racing around trying to figure anything out, not trying to solve a problem. And I know for some of you out there right now listening to me, you are like, Kyla, don't even. That doesn't even make sense. I'm not doing it. Because I used to be that person too, who's like, that doesn't make sense. Why would I do that? Why would I torture myself like that? But here's the thing. It's only torture because you've not done it, because you've not practiced it. When I get quiet, when I let myself get quiet, y'all, is when I have some of my most brilliant and best ideas. Pole Pen Paint was born out of me being in meditation and literally just receiving this, like, you know, this is something you're really wanting. You can't find it. You should create it. Here's what it should be. Like, it literally, right? So I guarantee you, you're missing some of your most brilliant ideas because you won't take the time to get silent. Now, Angelisa, I'm not talking just to you. I'm saying this is in general. I'm also talking to myself. So I don't want you to think that I'm preaching to you, Angelisa. I'm not. I'm just saying in general, humans, all of us, you have to have, and I like to say, yeah, meditation for me is like folding paper, but that's not pure meditation, right? Like, that's not me being completely still and completely quiet. And while I cannot sit still and quiet as long as Damon can sit still and quiet, it's not about me comparing myself to him. It's about me meeting myself where I am and moving myself forward a little bit at a time. Remember the other day I talked about just waking up every day and going, let me be the best version of myself I can be today. Let me be better than I was yesterday. Like, those are my mantras, because I'm not in competition with anybody else. I'm not trying to beat Damon or do as much as Suzanne can meditate or as much as Angelisa, or like, that's not my goal. My goal is to be better than I was yesterday, not better than Damon was, not better than anybody else was, right? And so that piece is really important in the practice as well. Suzanne says we work with the breath, so it actually helps quiet the mind. Yeah. And that's me. How can you think? How can you think nothing? I can be watching a movie and fully engrossed and be thinking about a project I want to do. Angelisa, I'm gonna give you a fist bump. That's me and you both. Yes, sound effects included. All right. So Angelisa says, just thinking about sitting still and quiet makes me anxious. I'm sure it does. Yeah, I can feel that. I get that. Been there, done that. Even today, sometimes, like even now, I have moments where, like right now, I'm talking to you all, but my mind's working on like 3 other things in this moment, right? It's often also why I get lost in my thoughts and in my words, where I realize I don't complete all my sentences all the time, right? Is because my mind is racing with so many things. I'm already off to the next 3 things, right? But that's also a sign of not being fully present. So I'm constantly over here, whether you all realize it or not, and maybe you do. If you're very astute, you might see me say something about one thing and not finish it and move on. And then I go, and I come back to this thing that I didn't finish and finish it. Then I move on, right? But that is because I'm aware. I know that that is what happens with me, but I also know that it is a sign of me not being fully present. And I want to be fully present. So I have to stop my, what time? It's not 3? Oh, okay. I think Damon is giving me the signal that I have something happening in like 4 minutes here. So I got to go. So to finish that thought, I recognize that the jumping around means I'm not present. I'm not fully present. And so I have to tell you, I have people in my life who don't know, they don't know how to be fully present. They think they can multitask. And here's where they don't realize how it can be detrimental to relationships. If I am with you and I'm giving you my time and my energy, and you are so distracted, you can't hold a conversation with me because you're trying to have a conversation, you're trying to listen into a conversation happening over here, or you're checking your phone and you're listening to this conversation, you're checking your phone, you're also looking at something outside the window, and you're not present with me. You are actually telling me how much I matter to you. And that is an unspoken thing that cannot be denied. You can't convince me otherwise. If I'm telling you something from my heart and you're checking your phone, or you're listening to the conversation in the table or the booth next to us, or you're looking out the window and you're not with me, that tells me a lot about how much you really care about what I'm saying and about me and about what I'm going through, right? Because when you are sharing with me, I am fully present. I am literally doing the work to quiet my mind so that I can be present with you. And I don't take that lightly because I know how hard it is to do that. And if I'm willing to do it for you, and you say you are my friend, and you say you want to be engaged with me fully, or you say you are my mentor or my whatever, my coach. I hired a coach once that I worked with who I just felt like she was never actually listening to me. I didn't work with her very long because I was like, you can't be present with me and multitasking. You're not fully present. And I knew she wasn't fully present because every now and then she would ask me a question that I had already answered. Sometimes I had already answered it twice. And I was like, yeah, no. Mm-mm. So whether you think it is true or not, learning to quiet your mind can go serve you in so many other capacities in your creative life, in your spiritual life, in your relationships, and maybe even in your work life, right? It can help with your sleep. It really goes a long way. And so being present is important. All right. I love y'all. I got to go. Apparently, I'm supposed to be in Creative Catalyst right now. Okay. Mwah. Thank you for being here. See you soon. Bye, y'all. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in Creative Catalyst if you're coming. Bye.